If you like this video, please consider supporting the Oto Kano channel over on Patreon. Thank you. Hello there, how are you today? I wanted to take a close look at the Daniel Smith Primatek range for a while. So this is a new series that takes a much closer look at some of the Primatek colors. As usual, I'm going to be testing each color using my swatch sheet and testing it out very thoroughly, but also I'm going to see what other colors are quite similar to each color and whether the Primatek color is really worth getting it on its own right, or can we substitute it with some similar, usually cheaper colors, as Primatek colors can be on the expensive side. In this first episode, we are going to take a close look at the Rhodonite Genuine. It is a lovely pink color and it's a very intense color. It is almost like a quinacridone brightness. I really love this color, but there are some issues which we will talk about in a moment. Daniel Smith's website says, made from jewelry quality stone, this versatile rose pink is wonderful for portraits and landscapes. Used wet into wet, it creates a soft, transparent glow without granulation. At full value, it is more intense but still transparent, low staining and non-granulating. It is classified as Series 2, excellent in light fastness, which we will talk about in a moment, transparent, low staining and non-granulating. Rhodonite Genuine is made from the mineral rhodonite, and this color has had a lot of rumor about its light fastness. Several people have found that it doesn't stay the same color over time, and I've had comments from some people that has said that the color actually changed to this brown color on their palette, which is not great. So I looked into this issue. I looked over on Jane Brundell, Wet Canvas and some mineral websites, and what I found is that the rhodonite mineral itself is known as a rose red color that often tends to brown because of surface oxidation, which means that this brown color change thing is happening because it oxidizes. So some people said it's not a light fastness issue in that the color doesn't fade, which is maybe why Daniel Smith called it excellent in light fastness, but it seems to have a definite color change issue over time, and it's not to do with light, it's to do with the air. It's oxidizing when it's mixed with the air. So technically Daniel Smith isn't lying by saying it is light fast, because it's nothing to do with the light, it's to do with the oxygen in the air. However, I do feel like if this is a real thing, then they should warn us about it, but this is all what other people have said. What I will be doing is doing a light fastness test over 6 months like I did before with all of these colors, and I can let you know in about 6 months time what I find out about these colors. Another interesting thing I did find though is that rhodonite is the official gemstone of Massachusetts, and I found this fascinating because I come from Japan and grew up in the UK, and I don't think anywhere that I've lived had a official gemstone for that state or county, so that is awesome that America has gemstone for each state. We are back, the paints have dried, and this is rhodonite. It is a lovely, lovely pink. However, let's take a closer look at the wash, because you might be able to see, you see this? It's supposed to be non-granulating. The Daniel Smith website said so, and their description especially mentioned that it was non-granulating. But to me, this is what I would call granulating. And you get this brown color showing through. So I'm wondering if that's the oxidation happening. I would never call this a non-granulating color. It definitely granulates, especially around here. So it is definitely a color with some color changing issue. However, I really do like this lovely soft pink color. It is an easy color to do a gradation, especially on the cold press paper of Bockingford 300 GSM and the hot press Bockingford 300 GSM. However, on the rough one of the Bockingfoot 300 GSM and also the Archer's cold press, you do get this cauliflowering, so a little bit of care is required when you're doing some gradation. In terms of opacity, it is classified as transparent, and I would agree with that. And by the way, if you want to take a closer look at this test sheet, I always put a high resolution scan of these sheets up on my Patreon page, which is patreon.com/Oto Kano, so you can check it out there as well. Lifting is classified as low staining, and I would agree with that. It was quite easy to remove most of the colors. However, it's not non-staining. I can definitely see some pink. It's not quite back to white. In terms of glazing, it glazes fine, but the problem is that brown granulation coming through. So I don't really know how they can classify this as non-granulating when this happens. Maybe it's the oxidization that kind of granulates, I don't know. But you do see that a lot around here, and it's not the prettiest thing in the world. In terms of granulating, now here is another sign that it's not a non-granulating color, because so far from what we've tested, we've noticed that granulating colors goes really well. And I would say that it has done half well, which is probably the oxidization deciding to granulate and therefore work on the gauze. So it is a patchy gauze pattern, but it does definitely gauze as well. In terms of salt, it doesn't really salt very well, so I wouldn't bother with it. It just makes the brown come out a lot more around here, and it does water bloom quite well actually. So that is one technique that you can use with this color. In terms of color mixing, let's just remind you of the colors that I use to mix the rhodonite with. I choose 12 colors from around the color wheel so that you can get a good idea what this color is going to look like around the color wheel in terms of mixing it with whatever color that is on your palette. If you like to know what colors these 12 are, I always list them down in the description below, along with all the materials that I use for this video. So here is the colors that I mixed the rhodonite with, and this is how the color mix looks like once mixed with rhodonite. And I would say it's a very nice soft palette. It mixed really well with all the colors, which is lovely, and it creates this soft pink, just a delicious palette. So I would say that Rhodonite Genuine is a good mixing color, and it's just such a feminine, pretty colors. As a last thing, I have painted some similar colors to the Rhodonite Genuine, so you can see how this color compares with other colors. And let's take a look. First off, the top 7 colors are Quinacridone Colors, and this is the big sample of Rhodonite Genuine, and you can see that its color intensity, how bright it is quite comparable to a Quin color. Not as bright as the brightest of the Quin colors, like the Quinacridone Rose and Pink and Quinacridone Reds, but it is actually more intense than some other Quin colors like Quin Magenta and Quin Fuchsia. So for a Primatek color, this is really rare because Primatek colors are made from minerals, whereas these are synthetic colors. And with Primatek colors, when you grind a mineral and you use what nature's given us, then the colors don't tend to be that highly tinting. But Rhodonite Genuine, I think, has one of the best tinting strengths. In terms of closeness of hue, I don't think any of them are like an exact match. The Rosemother Lake might be the closest in terms of hue. The Rosemother Lake by Sennelier, this one, is pretty close. But again, Rosemother Lake is also a fugitive color, so it's not like a color fast alternative. And going But with the naked eye, I would say that the closest is Quin Pink. But as you can see from this chart and just how many colors I was able to compare the Quinacridone Rose with, you can see that there are a lot of similar colors out there, and the difference between any of these colors and this color isn't that huge, considering that Rhodonite Genuine has this oxidization problems, whereas like the Quinacridone colors have no light fastness issue. I would say that if you already have like a pinky Quinacridone color, then you probably don't need this Rhodonite Genuine by Daniel Smith. In terms of price, I gathered all my prices from the British website Jackson's, because that's where I buy all my paints from, and I just had to have a fixed point. Of course, Daniel Smith colors are going to be cheaper in America, Holbein colors are going to be cheaper in Japan, and Sennelier colors are going to be cheaper in France. But within brand, Rhodonite Genuine is a series 2 color, and all these Quin colors that I tried were also series 2, so there's not even any like money saving effects going on. In terms of Holbein, they were a little bit more expensive by about 70p, but that's because Jackson's sell them at a really expensive price for Holbein, and I would actually never recommend you buy Holbein colors from Jackson if you can help it, because it's so expensive compared to how cheap they are in Japan. And the Sennelier is about £8.58 per 21 milliliter, whereas a series 2 color like the Rhodonite Genuine would be £12.80 per 15 milliliter, so Sennelier colors are much cheaper. Do I think the Rhodonite Genuine is worth the money? It is a nice color, and it's nice to have a bright color for a Primatek range. However, with so many other options in terms of pink colors, if you already have them, as I said before, you probably don't need the Rhodonite Genuine. It's only if you like the romance of using a Primatek range and using mineral colors and using historical colors that would make sense to get the Rhodonite Genuine from Daniel Smith. Otherwise, I would stick to a more light fast colors that do not change and know that your piece isn't going to change. I hope this video was interesting and useful to you. If it was, please do give the video a thumbs up. Do let me know in the comments below whether you would be interested in trying out Rhodonite Genuine. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!